This video is brought to you by Raycon. How's it going, dweebs? I promise I'm joking. Welcome back to another episode of What I Watched This Month, March edition. I started this month by watching Tom and Jerry. What a start, right? This movie is not good. I will say I think the animation style for Tom and Jerry is pretty nice and works with live action. It isn't really pushing the envelope in any sort of way, considering Space Jam and Who Framed Roger Rabbit did this a long time ago. But the animation aside, this movie is just ass. It's not even a Tom and Jerry movie. It's a movie about Chloe Grace Moretz, and it's just lame and boring and bad. The pigeons, I want to kill the pigeons. I just didn't like this, which wasn't a surprise, but I wish it was at least bad in a fun, cringy way. It's just boring and uninspired beyond belief. Then I watched the Nicholas Ray film They Live by Night. Now, I really liked Ray's other film, Bigger Than Life. I think it's one of the most entertaining films I've seen, and this one is also very good. He's great at keeping you engaged, even when it feels like nothing is really happening. I just walked away from this with an urge to watch more Nicholas Ray films, which I think I will. Then I rewatched Cats, only because it was for a podcast I was on. I would not be rewatching this for any other reason. And it was a super fun episode, it was worth it, but man, is this movie terrible. I and everyone else you know have talked about Cats extensively, so there's really not much I can say here that you don't already know, but what a time. What a strange, weirdly horny time. Then I watched Shock Corridor, a film about a guy who admits himself into an insane asylum to solve a crime, but in the process, slowly grows insane himself. I think movies about insane asylums can be pretty repetitive in what they try to do. The one that did it the best is obviously One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and with that being said, Shock Corridor introduces so many new horrors associated with the subject that make it a truly haunting watch. It knows when to have some fun, but for the most part I feel very uneasy the entire time watching this. This will certainly not be for all of you, but if you're interested in what feels like a pretty unique and comprehensive approach to that story, check it out. Then I watched Yes, God, Yes. I've been super curious to watch this for a while, and I was a little disappointed. The story of a Catholic schoolgirl coming to terms with her sexuality has the potential to be something super interesting, especially in the context of the digital age, which this film works with. Unfortunately, it just felt kind of corny and at times unsure if it wanted to be a comedy or a straightforward character study. Everything that something like Lady Bird did to blend genres, this just didn't do at all, which left it feeling kind of one-noted and kind of stale, unfortunately. Then I rewatched Promising Young Woman. Knowing what happens in the film, which I won't spoil, a rewatch definitely gives you a different experience. For one, a lot of the establishment near the beginning feels so much more dragged out and redundant after a while. The dialogue feels a little corny and on the nose at times, but all that said, the mystery pokes its head out every now and then in places I didn't expect or pick up on the first time, which was fun to see. I still think this is a very clever film and a well-paced thriller. I just don't think I need to watch it again now, and that's fine. Then I had another round of another round, a movie that on the other hand just keeps getting better. I'm honestly tempted to bump it up a little in my top 10 of 2020 list because I really do love this movie. I think it is ridiculously entertaining from beginning to end. The moments that feel slow and boring are literally boring on purpose. I think it makes the colorful ambiance of them being drunk just that much more exciting. It fully develops 4 separate people in a tight runtime that doesn't overstay its welcome. I don't think this is doing anything groundbreaking, but I just love watching it, and that's reason enough to call it an amazing movie. I just really love how fun and mature and authentic it is. It does exactly what it needs to do. Then I rewatched Greener Grass for the 3rd time. You guys know how I feel about this movie. It is hilarious and absurd and maybe the best midnight movie out there. There are small moments of absurdity that don't feel necessarily humorous near the end of it, like the scenes with the braces and the cows, that work so well as pieces of surrealism, which just shows that this movie knows exactly what it is doing. Not only is it fantastic as a comedy, but it's also just so weird and strange. It's just such a rich atmosphere and world. It's very impressive. I love it. Please watch it if you haven't already. Then I watched all of Succession. I really love this show. Obviously, it will be getting its own video, so I'm going to hold back on saying anything now, but seriously, I think it's the most exciting show out there right now. I am beyond excited to talk about it in length. Holy shit. Then I rewatched The Lighthouse. Similar to Greener Grass, you guys know how I feel about this as well. It's a fantastic movie with another rich atmosphere that sucks you in within the first minute, honestly. This was my first time watching it in a setting that wasn't a movie theater, which honestly gave me a completely different experience. Usually the sound design and the cinematography in this movie is so intense that all I can really focus on and reflect on about the film is the atmosphere, but this time I really paid attention to the bare-bones story story and characters and tried to pick up on more traits that may have gone over my head the first time, because for as rich as the sound and visuals are, the characters themselves have so much depth to them that a lot of people don't talk about. And with all that being said, while I do think these characters have tons of depth, I think the film is primarily focusing on making a mood rather than a character story, because rather than focusing on the stakes and the tangible plot points that elevate the story, this movie focuses on the mentality of both these men and does its best to put you in that mentality. Which is my way of saying that when I focus on the story and the characters, it's not as good of a movie, but that wasn't the point of the movie, so I'm still going to say this is a fantastic movie. Was that worth saying? Then I watched Barton Fink for the first time. This is one of the only Coen Brothers movies I haven't seen up until now, and I really liked it, unsurprisingly. Fully aware this came out before this other movie, but there's a lot of Synecdoche, New York in this, in that it's a very personal movie about someone's work and where they fit in society and how that work develops. It really is just a movie about being an artist, which in some ways I'm fully in love with. I think it hits points like writer's block and the pressure of producing work that film rarely depicts on the screen. But other parts felt kind of messy, which is to say I don't think I'm smart enough to understand everything that this movie is saying. And that's about all I have to say about it. Regardless, it is a Coen Brothers movie, which is to say it was ridiculously entertaining from start to finish. Then I watched Shiva Baby, which is available on VOD right now. I got to interview the director, Emma Seligman, for my podcast, which you should also check out, and this is all to say I love this movie a lot. I think it's one of the funniest movies of the last few years, and it's also insanely anxiety-inducing. It's only 77 minutes, so seriously, you have no excuse. Then I watched Aniara. This was depressing. It reminded me a lot of a ghost story in the way it plays with time and existentialism and how insignificant you and everything you do is in the grand scheme of things. I'm glossing past the plot because I think going into this knowing nothing makes for a pretty fun time, in my opinion. It's just an insanely bleak watch, which is both a pro and a con. It works in driving home some rather nihilistic views it has, but it also makes it very hard to attach yourself to any particular character. That's also probably because these characters are way too one-noted and not nearly developed enough to give a shit about any of them. But again, I think it's a very depressing and crazy ambitious film for how much it's trying to do, so sure. Yeah, then I watched The Father, another depressing-ass movie. I fully understand why this got so much love at the Oscars this year. It's pretty outstanding in every way. Obviously, the performances from Anthony Hopkins and Olivia Colman are unfucking believable. I mean, Hopkins just completely bodies this performance. But I also think the editing and cinematography has a lot to do with why this film works so well at being an accurate portrayal of both having dementia and being someone who is taking care of someone with dementia. Now, I have been in neither of those positions. Who am I to speak on the accuracy, but I could feel the pain on both sides so vividly, and that's why I think this felt so real. It's a heavy watch for sure, but I really do think it's one of the best Picture nominees out there. Then I tried to cheer myself up by watching The Octopus Teacher. Now here's the deal, I do think this is an incredibly entrancing film that captures sea life in a gorgeous way, and the concept of this guy visiting this octopus every day and forming this relationship is also so fascinating and beautiful to some extent. But man, this guy is just so odd that I could not take some of the film's more emotional moments seriously. Like, he totally wants to bang that octopus. Alright, let's be real. I think it's a fine movie, and I know you shouldn't judge a movie because of the Oscars, but it just blows my mind and irritates me that this took away the chance of Dick Johnson Is Dead getting a nomination. Then I watched Eric Andre's Bad Trip. I, like most people, had pretty low expectations going into this because hidden camera prank movies usually aren't that great. But this was kind of amazing. First of all, after those first 10 minutes, it gets super fun. The mall bit, the escaped convict bit, the bar bit are all pretty hilarious, and those are just a few of them. But also the way it weaves together the narrative and the pranks is so clever. It's one of the rare cases of a movie being able to blend fiction and documentary in a way that works like any other movie out there and still being pretty funny. Yeah, I don't know, if you're looking for a mindless but good watch, check this thing out. Then I finished the month with High Life. This is a very hard movie to talk about even after a second watch, so I'll keep it brief. Lots of cum. And that's what I watched this month. I also played a lot of Animal Crossing, and I made this painting, and I got the first dose of the vaccine. It was a good month. Thanks so much for watching. Check out all these films and form your own opinion. And before you head out, I want to thank today's sponsor, Raycon. I've been using their everyday E25s for about a year now, and I have to say, they're fantastic. They're completely disrupting the electronics industry by designing premium wireless audio at half the price without compromise. They're just doing it differently. From the way their products look to the way they're priced, they always prioritize the customer experience. Raycon offers their wireless earbuds in a range of fun colors and patterns with a variety of fit options with no dangling wires or stems. The company was co-founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Snoop Dogg, Mike Tyson, and Rich the Kid are obsessed with these. Not to mention, they literally have a 45-day free return policy. Raycon earbuds give you 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, a comfortable fit, and more bass. If you're looking to take a break from screens, which I encourage everyone to do, Raycons are the perfect way to keep up to date with the content you love while being on the go. I personally use mine all the time, whether I'm outside going for a walk or just inside recording a podcast. They fit for every situation. Click the link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/Karsten to get 15% off your Raycon purchase.